you. So who would you say is the number one liquidity provider in Nigeria?
One liquidity.
One liquidity, of course.
I believe one liquidity is going to get there someday.
I must say, their services are good and sweet.
Let me leave that to the users to judge.
Hey, I'm gonna say one liquidity, right? So we go from there.
One Liquidity isn't just talking innovation. We are walking the walk with impressive figures that showcase impact on Africa's financial landscape. Here are some key numbers that speak volumes. $5 billion+ in transactions, $10 million+ in monthly credits and loans, $500 million+ in B2B payments. These numbers translate to real progress. Businesses have access to the resources they need. Trade flourishes and Africa's economic engine gains momentum. One Liquidity impressive numbers are just the beginning. By choosing One Liquidity, you are not just partnering with a financial service provider, you are joining a movement driving positive change across Africa. Sign up for a demo account today.
So who would you say is the number one liquidity provider in Nigeria?
One liquidity.
One liquidity, of course.
I believe one liquidity is going to get there someday.
I must say, their services are good and sweet.
Let me leave that to the users to judge.
Hey, I'm gonna say one liquidity, right? So we go from there.
Hello, good evening, everyone. How are you doing today? We're very excited to have you join us today at another edition of the One Liquidity FinTech Insights. We're very excited today. One Liquidity is partnered up with a very amazing fintech company in the Web3 space, and today we're very excited to bring exciting conversations in tech, Web3, what's going on in the ecosystem. We're fired up, guys. We're fired up. We're very excited. Right now, I need you to tell me in the comment section, tell me where you're watching from right now. I'd like to give you a shout out. Let's do this. Where are you watching from? Mark Dara said we should fire it up. Come on, let's go, guys. Tell me where you're watching from in the comment section. Let's go, let's go, let's go. You're watching from Nigeria. You're watching from the Middle East. Where are you watching from? Would like to say hi to you. Hey, let's go. Nitesh Keswani is in Lagos. He's watching from Lagos. Nitesh, we're very excited to have you join us today. Olufemi is watching from Maryland, USA. Great and excited to have you with us today, Olufemi. Mark is watching from USA. I don't know how to pronounce that. Raleigh. I probably have to go and listen to something. Listen to the intonation. Guys, we're very excited to have you join us today. Today we have an exciting topic, cross-border payments and financial inclusion. Exciting topic. And we're going to be breaking that topic down today with a very amazing guest, right? But today, One Liquidity is partnered up with Canza Finance, an amazing fintech company. Interesting thing is, So One Liquidity and Canza Finance, they've been doing business for a long time, and this time around we're like, you know what, let's just partner up and do some amazing stuff and bring some people and bring people insights and exciting knowledge and information in the Web3 space. Nitesh, along with my wife, Laxmi. Hello, Laxmi. We're very happy to have you. We have Fumi Smith. She's watching from Lagos. We have Alex. Alex Giwa is watching from South Africa. Yebo. I don't think I'm allowed to say that. Splendid is watching from Birmingham, United Kingdom. We're very excited to have you guys join us today. Very excited. Okay. Fantastic. All right. So right now we have Mr. Oyedeji Oluwoye is joining us today. Mr. Oluwoye is the CTO of Canza Finance, and we're very excited and privileged to have him join us today. Mr. Oye, welcome. What do you have to say to us today?
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. No, this is great. I'm pretty excited about this. Like you said, there's a very, very interesting origin story between One Liquidity and Canza that goes back many years. So it's good that everything comes full circle now. And yeah, that was an amazing intro too. That was a really great intro. I love the commercials. I think it really depicts a really good projection towards this financial space, especially for these emerging markets, especially Africa. So yeah, I'm excited, man. And I see myself actually in the commercial too. So it's, yeah, all this thing up, man.
I know that was last year from the launch event we had in Lagos. Exciting times. So one thing we do when we begin our webinar is we like to get to know people a little bit more, right? So find out some interesting things. So tell us something interesting about you. What do you like to do for fun?
That's a great question. What do I like to do for fun? Correct. Now to be honest, I've been interested in technology for a while. I like to solve problems. Actually just talking about this on my phone last night. I don't know, like ice cream. Ice cream's cool. I like meat pies. That's my friend Mark from Australia joined. So we used to eat that as kids. I like a lot of things. Food. I like to travel. I spent early years traveling a lot. So I see a lot of people in UK, South Africa, all these different areas. So I think every continent I've been to besides Antarctica. So we'll put it on the list next. So it's different sports. I think this phase of my life now is just like experiences. I don't know, I went to the Formula One over the weekend. That was cool. In Singapore. So just try new things. I guess so.
That's very exciting. That's very exciting. So I have to ask this question, right? We ask this question to everybody else, whoever comes on the show. What's your favorite movie of all time? One.
Favorite movie? That's a tricky one, man. I don't think it's just one, man. But man, I don't know. Since we're in this financial inclusion, I say Margin Call, but it's not. But it's one that pops into my head right now. Margin Call is a great movie.
Yeah. Okay, magical. All right, that's great. All right, very excited. So welcome everybody at this point. If you just got into the live stream, we're very excited to have Oyedeji Oluwoye, the CTO and CMO of Canza Finance. And we cannot wait to dive deep into like all the exciting stuff he has for us today. One more time, Emeka David, welcome. You're watching from Lagos. David is watching from Nigeria. Ayomide Bello, Lagos, Nigeria. Nitesh, Iron Man. Okay, Nitesh is talking about his favorite movie of all time, Tony Stark. Iron Man, beautiful. Margin Call is great as well. Martin Nally, we're very excited to have everyone live today. So first question we have for you today, Mr. Oyedeji, tell me, why Canza Finance?
Oh, yeah, that's a great one. I guess it starts a little bit from the origin aspect, but I guess I was born and raised in Sydney. I moved to the US at the age of 13, 14 years. I started doing a lot of like Conte Network Plus certifications. pretty early on, around the age of 17. That just led me down like the network engineering path. To accommodate that, I started studying into a Bachelor of Computer Science, and then moved to Atlanta, Georgia, where I did like 7 years at AT&T, building out the network for Asia. Within that, both my parents, they both have PhDs. They moved to Australia to do that at the University of New South Wales. And so, like, we're from the African family in the background, right? Like, I had to do at least a master's at my minimum, right, to get the parents off the back. So when I was doing that, I had to pick a topic for my master's thesis degree. When I like to dive into rabbit holes, I like to research a lot. So once I was getting into understanding money and like 401ks and things like that, found the YouTube video, which was like the Internet of Money. And then that's when I started my introduction to Bitcoin. So for 2015, for 2016, I was really the genesis from academia and outreach standpoint. Got a couple of grants, won a couple of awards, and then really went into the rabbit hole to start building tech tools. Myself and then my co-founder is Pascal, Cameroonian. We were in the same leadership program together. And we were always trying to understand, how do we understand these cutting edge technologies and innovations and bring that back towards the emerging market, right? From a network engineering standpoint, you have a more fun adoption. That was always, and when you're building up the network, you understand exactly how many endpoints and how many users are actually on the network. So really bringing this, like a cutting edge aspect such as blockchain, digital assets, Bitcoin, those different things in the ecosystem, bring it towards a market that actually needs it. That was really like the genesis of Canza. So it's really the embodiment of just like bringing like the cutting edge tools and technology, and working towards our vision, which is basically a work to investment bank. So from there, you have to, especially when it comes towards the African side, you have to build each layer in each block, something very similar to like the oversight model or different like the topology models. And yeah, that's really it. So the great thing about finance and all these different other concepts, as long as you spend enough time to apply, you can really understand it. Like I said, I started from a network engineering aspect, went to like a DeFi, decentralized finance, and then much more down to traditional finance. So it's a really unique mix. There's so many different layers across the different sectors, but that's where Canza is really just trying to understand, learn from everybody else's aspect. I believe like time is the only asset we can't buy, right? So you need to utilize your time wisely, and if that time is spent on something, you can try to create some type of value out of it. So with all these different layers, all these different contexts globally, how do we bring that all towards the continent of Africa to solve the problems that we see daily? So that's Canza in a nutshell.
All right, that's fantastic. That's interesting. That has been from being a passion project to being something that's solving everyday African financial problems. That's an amazing story. Thank you so much. I think the next question we have for you, the first question of the day officially is, what are the main issues businesses face with cross-border payments, and how can blockchain help solve them?
Yeah, this is a really great question. Obviously, businesses and how you define businesses. I think that was something really big in the beginning of Canza, of understanding like different definitions of SMEs. So within that aspect, you need to basically put these into different categories. So cross-border payments, you need to understand that there needs to be some type of FX in the background to facilitate that. And there's been a lot of challenges across the continent pertaining to US dollars being actually within these banking facilities or cross-border applications for like working capital. So now these businesses need to still transact, right? Import, export flows, etc. So where blockchain really comes in is that the most basic application obviously is building on top of Ethereum, which is stablecoins, a very easy type of smart contract. So then you can put those type of dollar representations on chain, and those dollar representations can now assist that gap that we're seeing within the banks or cross-border applications, etc., to send cross-border internationally. So, with all these different regulations across the board, it could be Gambia, it could be Zambia, it could be Zimbabwe, etc. You're gonna have these different like hurdles of either limitations or invoices or perform invoices that need to be met, right? So the thing about Africa is that it really makes you resilient. So you're actually going to find a way. But obviously, when we talk about global finance and global connectivity, you really need to work within those different constructs. So yeah, I think blockchain fits a perfect aspect there, and it can fill that hole that the US dollar shortages opposes.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Now, I think something about Africa is, or something most people don't know about Africa is that when you start traveling across Africa, you're going to face one problem. Everybody on their first time usually faces a problem. There's trade constraints in Africa. If you're Nigerian and you're in Ghana, you realize that, oh wow, you have to figure out a way to convert your naira to something, and nobody in Ghana respects your naira. Nobody in Ghana is going to take naira from you. You have to figure out a way to either get your money to dollars and find a way to convert it to CDs, or if you want to do business with people across your country in Africa, say Gambia, like you just mentioned, South Africa, you will face a problem as well. There's always challenges with cross-border payments, right? So how does Canza Finance make cross-border transactions faster and cheaper compared to traditional methods?
I'll be very honest, this is going to be a pretty simple, easy question, right? You got to plug into one liquidity's stack. I think it has a really good offering pertaining to understanding the movements of capital, especially within the African continent. The major thing I think everybody really sees is that a lot of people maybe in the African diaspora think you can just bring these type of technology solutions and just bring them back to Africa, but like it's basically putting like a square into a circle, right? Like, so with One Liquidity's leadership team and experience, you have to really trust your local partners, and you have to really put on top of that because there are a lot of different stresses across the way. So having a good mix of understanding the local landscape, utilizing technology that can actually make it happen, that's really where that really plugs in, especially when it comes towards cross-border elements. Even from our side, it's ensuring that this, the stable coins and the liquidity to assist within these different verticals and mechanisms. And then also understanding the different Web3 composability aspects that can fit holes where that might need to be fixed if traditional FX rails are not there, right? As your commercials and the pre-aspect mentioned, right? You're moving 5 billion, you're doing different products such as lending, borrowing, etc. The FX demands and the FX can definitely have holes, right? You got maybe the bank branch manager is not in, or our instructions not there, or online access can't be accepted. So when you have all these different aspects and challenges, it's really that's where you can lean on the technology. Obviously, technology is not like always the answer; it's just a tool. So I think we're just mixing the Web3 components, connected up with our different aspects on the local market players, but then really just plugging into the One Liquidity's ecosystem to make things easier, right? I think on the African continent, there is a lot of challenges, things that are hard, but I think that also builds into the character of different people that's on the continent. But also, you want to have your extra free time to basically do other things, right? So I think it's a good mix of both. Good mix of both.
All right. So we're very excited as One Liquidity. We're able to help you, serve more customers across the continent. We're very excited about that. Now, when you speak about serving people on the continent of Africa, right? Now, we all know that it takes a lot of resilience to build in Africa, right? So most people just coming from like other ecosystems that are very, I wouldn't use the word easy. They're coming from other ecosystems that is a bit more regulated. Systems are put in place and structures, and they come into Africa and then they hit roadblocks. So most of them like give up, go back. It's just that whole challenge. When it comes to building in Africa, right? But right? What challenges? Now the question is, what challenges does blockchain face with regulations in Africa? And how can companies like Canza, handling these challenges with regulations?
Yeah, for sure. I'll take a page out of my co-founder's book. I think at the end of the day, to actually create these regulations, right? You have to, they need to have something to regulate, right? So as a builder, as a coder, a programmer, a sales engineer, etc., whatever your role is, like you want to have the open access channel with these different regulators, because they need to understand exactly what's happening. Especially within the African continent, majority between like 13 to 29, right? Is some of these countries, 70%. So the youth is really just moving a lot of this ideas, innovation. So you have to have that now, those channels, because if they're not understanding what they're regulating, then it's just going to be a broken system. So a big proponent of talking to all the regulators across the continent. From our side, different conversations, and from East Africa all the way to Kenya, traveling all the way to Mauritius, Cameroon, Ivory Coast, Ghana, even Nigeria now has a lot of good structures there. So having that open communication, keeping everybody updated. I think that's the whole part as well. When you think about Web3, it's like transparency, right? It's transparency on chain, it's transparency. So you can take some of these components and then apply them towards how you look at the business and how you look at and talk to other people. I think when you're just looking at overall businesses and interactions and finance, you have to have those communication channels there. And you just have to at least have the communication, because if you're doing OTC, you want to make sure the customers are understanding where their capital is, right? Because everybody's looking at this specific aspect of value as very, very important. So currency is just one version within the blockchain space. Like, it's just the first application via the Bitcoin experimental project. And then now, you have data as well. So when you think about those communication channels, and not trying to be like an AI cyborg or something, but like data, it needs to be communicated, right? We're talking about all these deals, there's billions of dollars moving via WhatsApp or Telegram or emails, etc. So having that communication channel clear, and just being upfront and understanding to regulate. And the only people that will know that is the founders or the builders. So have those relationships.
All right, that's exciting. So I think when it comes to the issue of relationship, like you just mentioned, I think it's one thing everyone building on the African continent needs to optimize for. And it also be a great space for like the leadership to also come to the table. Everybody should come to the table, open up a line of communication. Everybody should speak their minds. Thank you very much for that. Right now, on to what is next. We cannot talk about finance without talking about how to make money. Not talk about finance, without talking about blockchain, without talking about how we can go to the moon.
Yeah, exactly. For sure.
So, exactly. So, next question we have for you is: so, what are some wealth creation opportunities for businesses and individuals in the blockchain space in the year 2024?
This is a great question. I think one of the major avenues of wealth creation is especially within emerging markets or RWAs. In my opinion, it's a groundbreaking as stablecoins, given that they share the same fundamental principle as tokenized representation of tangible assets. So real-world assets are tokens on the blockchain, and again, like promising different revenue of like wealth creation. So when we're looking at other businesses and individuals, there's investment opportunities into multiple sectors, which includes commodities, real estate, securities, as well as like trade finance as well. And then this is definitely one avenue that will lead to at least blockchain adoption, especially within the region and globally. And then I think as well, like when you're talking about curation, especially now we're in this 2024, the internet, especially to myself, is a great equalizer, right? You can do education tech, you can learn. So, you can build things and understand these different principles to actually then create. So even from a more of a tech or computer science aspect, utilize this open source technology and the same things you might learn in class, master's degree, bachelor's, whatever education level, and then apply that same aspect towards what you're trying to build, because there is so many people on the continent, and then there's also we create the value, right? When you think about what is value, right? If you're doing computers, you just put it into a bracket, value equals X, but we actually define the value. So understand the different moving market conditions, definitely understand what you're really trying to achieve. I guess I come from a side for not being greedy too much. So be humble as well. But I think there's a lot of different narratives, especially when we talk about the blockchain ecosystem. RWA is definitely up. There's been a lot of different aspects and investments from institution capital, such as like BlackRock, and then also emerging markets. If you're within the continent or in Latin or some parts of Southeast Asia, you can see exactly how fast things are moving. So I think yeah, there's definitely you just have to really understand. I don't think it's too much of you have to really get in first. You don't have to be the first. Obviously, that would help. So you just don't think you can miss out. But there's also that aspect of understanding your goals, understanding what you actually want out of whatever that wants to be created, and try to find value. Because there's multiple things, right? You can go airdrops, you can do, hunting, you can, get on Twitter. But I think you just have to be comfortable with yourself and just understand what your strategy is and stick to that. I think that's the best thing.
All right, thank you very much. That is very insightful. Now, what you just mentioned just brought into attention some stuff that happened earlier this year, and I think that as Africans is interesting. I think that one thing we need to do as Africans is that, or people building in Africa, every one of us, we need to be able to see what it seems like everybody else is seeing, right? I mean, we saw BlackRock make a strategic move into the continent when they bought out Tayo Kunlisi's company, right, earlier this year. Strategic move, BlackRock positioning itself, and we seem not to exactly. We need to be very much aware about what's happening so we can have like first mover advantage and all as a business or as people building in Africa, as Africans even, right? So this even leads up to the next question. Right now, we'd like you to talk more about real world assets, right? So now, how are these real world assets different from recent market trends? Well, here when it was NFTs, a couple of teddy bears here and there, Now, how are these real world assets different from market trends we've seen in the past, especially NFTs? But before you answer that, right, guys, if you have a question for Oyedeji, this is a great time for you to put in the comment section, right? If you have a question for Canza Finance, you have a question regards like blockchain, real world assets, how to be able to like collaborate with Canza Finance, do business with them, put your comments in the comment section very shortly after a few more questions, and then we'll take questions from everybody else. So, Oyedeji, over to you. Tell us.
Yeah, I think so RWAs, they represent tangible real world assets, right? The value is primarily tied to like the underlying assets of the market price. When it comes to like the RWA sector, it's much more of a regulated space. And then there's also, when you talk about NFTs, this makes it like less accessible to certain jurisdictions. So like with the different regulations in turn, is like quite appealing to different businesses who are looking for like different or more safer structures. When we're talking about like, even from our side, when we're thinking about building a marketplace, it brings the best of both worlds to different users. And then it also brings businesses around the world together, especially when we talk about this like globalized economy, ensuring that we offer like different world-class RWAs towards, the right marketplace. So that's from the different, they have the same blockchain possibilities, but when we're talking about real estate property, different other assets that we can notarize, there's a lot of different other things where we can extract value. And then if you want to think about like the layer 2 to it, that's when we're talking about what you had mentioned earlier, when you're lending, borrowing. Now you can lend and borrow against these real assets, right? So when it's not a cheap plug or anything, but when you have all these different aspects and you have this like the one liquidity APIs and different elements, you can plug and play with that, connect that to within the Web3 ecosystem, and then you can actually create much more value instead of just saying in like the Web2 and traditional FX. So I think it's exciting. I think there is a lot of different core aspects that have just been like rolled over. I don't think it's truly a different new. But just how you mentioned, you talk about following the trends. BlackRock did that aspect towards an African company. BlackRock also did a massive investment into RWAs. So if you are looking at the different news and are looking at the different trends, you see where all the signs are leading you to.
All right, thank you very much. Now we have to ask, right? Regards like these real world assets, what are the current regulations around them, and how safe is it for businesses and individuals?
I think yeah, like when it comes to regulations, like it is like what I said a little bit earlier. Everything needs to address consumer protection, right? But while this space is still evolving, you're still going to have multiple different aspects that come through. But blockchain technology, like I said, it does inherit all the attributes from transparency, and then when you connect that with the different security that it also offers, you then can mitigate risk. So I think as our different other products and providers, there is a lot of capital or TVO associated with all of these projects. So you just really need to understand about the different like KYC and KYB aspects. But these are what we're saying about there are different things pertaining to different jurisdictions and things globally. And you just need to understand how to, number one, research, understand the KYC or KYB aspects. But yeah, the regulations are evolving, but then it goes towards how fast people are building. So
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that insightful session and questions answered and giving answers to questions and concerns. Thank you so much, Oyedeji. Right about now, guys, prepare your questions. We are going to ask Oyedeji the questions. Bring your most difficult questions. He's here and ready for them. He's not the CMO and CTO of Canza Finance for nothing. Yes, he's here to give us answers, guys. So please type your answers out in the comment section and we'll be giving you answers. But Oyedeji, I would like you to use this moment, right? So tell us, what are you guys currently building at Canza Finance? What are you guys currently developing? What's in the pipeline? What should people look out for next? What should we be excited for? That's coming up.
yeah, for sure. I think for Mark, even coming from that like academia and outreach aspect, I really like to do a lot of research. I think that's embedded into our devs, our marketing team, etc. So I think we're in a very good position now to really roll out some different and really exciting products. I think we introduced a synthetic digital asset exchange, which is called Barkey. That's built on top of the AVAX ecosystem. That was really to address what we're seeing within, I'll say, the OTC space, pertaining to getting in and out of other African currencies. I guess the world would say exotic currencies. I think that channel really offers a exciting aspect because then you can swap without having less slippages. When you go into a lot of these different OTC deals, then you have to go back into some type of US dollar position. So we really want to create that swap functionality, very seamless and specifically targeted towards the continent. And then so we're going to see upgrades to that. I've got a version 2 and some other different FX integrations rolling there. We also are building something unique pertaining to the RWA marketplace. And with that, that's really bringing the businesses and institutional buying towards understanding where they can get different yields. We've been doing a lot of exciting stuff with one of our latest investors, which is CoinMarketCap. So really just understanding the data and then understanding exactly how we can utilize this data towards African markets. So we can see that potentially integrated across our product suite, maybe towards the one liquidity product suite as well. We are developing some other aspects towards the token ecosystem and globally, as mentioned, that was in the Formula One. So left Singapore and understanding exactly how that's moving because that's a really good financial hub, especially for Asia. So yeah, we're really connecting a couple of moving dots there. We also have something in the tank that is called CXDS, which is centralized credit default swaps, and then we're also putting that on chain. So we're just working with the right partners globally and making sure that we get the right attention. But there's going to be a lot in store, but I guess you can keep up with the alpha via Telegram and Twitter and Discord. So
that's exciting. Thank you so much. I think one thing I am personally excited about is how I think that your trip to the Singapore conference, things are like has put in perspective and opened up like some ideas, opportunities, opened your eyes towards what's possible on the continent. But we have a very interesting question. People are yearning. Do you have a platform token at Canza Finance from Emmanuel?
That's a great question, Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now the token is it's on the wraps. It's on the way. I think from our side, we just want to make sure that we connect with everybody, the right ecosystem partners. But it's something that is in the works, and yeah, just stay on the lookout for that. Should be good.
All right, Emmanuel. So Emmanuel has another question. So Emmanuel says, when are we expecting RWA Marketplace to be live? Real World Assets Marketplace.
Okay. Yeah, great question, Emmanuel. Hopefully, Emmanuel is one of the businesses that's moving 1 billion via one liquidity. But yeah, so once we get some more institutional partners, once our amazing dev team gets making sure the security is 100%, that will be coming out. But I think we're doing for rigid testing. I think that's one of our biggest things from our side as well. You're seeing all these different moving aspects that happen on chain. So like I said, it's there, it's transparent. So we want to make sure that we put out the best. And I'll be very, very honest. I think even from the African side, yeah, really just making sure we put the best representation out. I think if you are on this call, like you have a lot of tech builders or tech type of people, or maybe FX broker dealing. But the major thing is that it's not always okay. You have the best product. Even if you build the best product, you need to make sure that it's actually heard. So I think that's what I've also seen, especially living within Africa, is that there's the theory part, there's the implementation, and the reality aspect, but then there's also like the scaling part. So you really need to have that unique mix to connect the dots. And I think you see around like 2017-ish and things of that nature. I'll say maybe that's like the first gen of on ramp and off ramps globally. But then, like I said, within this Web3 ecosystem, you have this layer 2. And I think that's where we like to operate. It's like connecting the dots between the layer 1 and what are the more possibilities that can be created. So I think we're at that space now and that stage now. And you just have to line up everything, because you just don't want to have the most shiniest car, that Ferrari, but then it never drives, right? So it's a unique aspect. It's a lot of different dots to connect, but I think we're up for the task and the challenge, because blockchain technology, especially with stablecoin utilization, is all within the markets that everybody says they're from, within this location list. So yeah, we're just making sure we're trying our best and our hardest. So it's on the way. It's on the way.
All right, exciting. Emmanuel, I hope you got your answers. So hang in there, we'll be live soon. Exciting. So I have a question from Martin Dali. So Martin says, what are your thoughts on crypto and blockchain if political leaders are against it? Do you see continued growth within crypto, or can the political leaders slow the acceptance of a potential bull run?
Oh, this is great. That's a good question. I think you have the aspect of, at the end of the day, it's not towards more like the leaders. It's more towards they need to protect retail, right? Your average everyday person. And when we're thinking about that terminology, if you just have with the economy and basically the value and the average person, what they can make, if they just put all of that into one position, well, let's say $10,000 is your life saving, and that's gone, you're going to complain to the government somehow, right? So I think from a regulatory or political aspect, I understand that part. When it comes towards political leaders, let's just say globally, you see how these different spaces are moving. If you move too much of your brain dump, and it's all going to Dubai, it's all going to Singapore, then you're going to see San Francisco not going to be keeping up. And that's why you see now, I haven't even watched, I think I caught a clip maybe on like TikTok or Telegram, whatever. I've seen it somewhere where, President Trump, ex-president of the US, was actually talking about digital assets and crypto, during his speech. So political leaders are in general understanding it, and then understanding the innovation aspect. When it comes, I'll say more towards, let's say, Africa, Africa's a massive continent, 50 plus countries, right? So there is going to be a regulatory space where crypto and blockchain is going to be accepted into the crypto bull market, right? You've seen other different companies across the continent get digital asset licenses within these different jurisdictions. So really comes down to what part of the crypto. I think we're now moving into that space of like the terminology and the brackets. If we're talking about stable coins and digital assets, right? If you looked at the let's say the country of Nigeria, you looked at the VAPs, they have digital asset origination, they have a stable coin, they also have exchanges. So I think the political aspects are moving towards that. When it comes towards everything that does come towards innovation or new technology, you are going to have the same type of things when the Irish with bootleg and alcohol, etc. You are going to have all these different factors that are coming towards new or cutting edge tech. So I think the scams and all these other different aspects and unbelievable yields, that is what is a little bit of the holdup. But I'd say it proudly. I think me personally, as maybe even the data that I've been privy to as well as been involved with, the majority of blockchain or crypto, the utilization is coming from African countries, right? And then it's also actually solving a problem that is actually needed. So I think that's where it wraps in. I think anything around stable coins and things of that nature, savings, etc., that's something that I'd say much more on the safe. But if you're gonna make 200,000% and staking something for 2 weeks, hey man, that's all up in you. But I think we're in a good spot, and I think politically is always going to move around, because my last thing about, I say political, the political leaders are possibly a representation of your community, right? So at the end of the day, the ethos of that is a representation of who we are or who you are, or wherever what part of the from, where your local government elective or your governor is. So there is that part of that aspect as well to always keep in mind. So.
All right. Thank you very much, Oyedeji. This has been an amazing session, guy. Thank you so much for joining us. We're very excited. We hope you've learned so much today, and we hope that you'll be able to apply everything you've learned. Stay in touch. For us at One Liquidity, so One Liquidity, we enable businesses. We enable businesses like Canza do what they do, right? If you're also looking, if you move like a lot of numbers, a lot of volumes, and you need like business loans to do more volumes to support you in your business, One Liquidity is here to support you as well. So guys, follow us on One Liquidity. We're One Liquidity HQ on across all social media platforms. Follow us at the same time as well. The guys at Canza, they're doing amazing work. Oyedeji and his team, amazing work. Follow Canza at Canza Finance on Twitter, X. You can also join the Telegram channel as well. You can take a screenshot of this or take a picture of this.
Like, can I add on to that?
Yes.
I need to give a shout out.
All right.
Taiwo, head of trades at One Liquidity. Shout out to you. That's all I gotta say. She knows. She's out.
All right, that's good. That's cool. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining us. We're very excited to have you today. Hope you've learned so much. Do have a great day. Have a great evening wherever you're from. If you're in the US, I think afternoon. Have a great afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. Cheers and goodbye for now.
One Liquidity isn't just talking innovation. We are walking the walk with impressive figures that showcase impact on Africa's financial landscape. Here are some key numbers that speak volumes. $5 billion+ in transaction, $10 million+ in monthly credits and loans, $500 million+ in B2B payments. These numbers translate to real progress. Businesses have access to the resources they need. Trade flourishes and Africa's economic engine gains momentum. One Liquidity impressive numbers are just the beginning. By choosing One Liquidity, you are not just partnering with a financial service provider, you are joining a movement driving positive change across Africa. Sign up for a demo account today.